Legendaries are the peak of player power in any great game, and Baldur's Gate 3 is no exception. Maybe it's from my time as a former WoW addict, or the gotta catch 'em all childhood I had, but there's just something about collecting things in game that really sparks joy. So why not make it into a challenge? Can you collect every legendary in Baldur's Gate 3 at level 1? The rules this time are no leveling up, and collect all 25 normally obtainable legendary items in the game. I'll be playing as Gale, because hoarding magical shit seems like a pretty Gale kind of thing to do, and as always, we start aboard the Nautiloid. There are no legendaries here, and XP means nothing to me, so our party did everything in its power to escape the ship as quickly as possible. On the beach, Shadowheart joined, a frog licked a Mind Flayer to death, and the party technically leveled up. I hope you're not OCD or anything, because that level up button is never getting clicked. Every companion will be joining us today, including Astarion. Together we gang beat some tieflings to free up Lae'zel, and participating in this gate battle as normal felt rather strange. That's for sure a me problem. Once complete, the region's open to focus on today's task. The first legendary you can technically get is the Silver Sword of the Astral Plane. Voss carries it when he arrives for that short cameo appearance, and if command dropped, you can obtain it as early as Act 1. The only problem is it's a 9% success chance with only a single attempt allowed before he flees. While you at home could save scum it and get it in mere minutes, that's just not dramatic enough for my tastes. Instead, I'm going to show you an overly complicated, convoluted method I found to near guarantee the gamble at level 1. Think of it as a pre-legendary side quest. You're going to need 6 items, 4 of which are found in the Underdark. The Zentrim kindly lent me their elevator, and to give thanks, I robbed their storage of all valuable contents. Featherfall got me down to the Mycanoids, and it's here you can meet your boy Blurg. Blurg sells Melf's first staff for +1 spell DC, aka spell hit chance, the first item on my list. The Mind Flayer, whose name I still refuse to say, sells a second one, but only to people who bring him back his favorite magic mushrooms from the Arcane Tower. A side quest. On the way there, I grabbed our next item, Valar Luve. This sword's Shriek ability reduces nearby enemy saving throws, increasing your gambling odds. In the tower, I picked up some shrooms, brought them back, and drank the Mind Flayer's nasty potion. After forcing you to drink that concoction, he feels bad or something and agrees to open up his shop. From Mr. Mind Flayer, you can purchase the Shade spell Circlet for an additional spell hit chance. The last equipable item that'll help you out requires a trip overseas to Grimforge. Up top on the trapped bridge, Lae'zel dodged fire to get the Protecty Sparks wall. Just 2 more non-equipable items remain, both of which come from the Hag's House of Horrors. Since it's also a requirement to kill her now for a future legendary later, it's a 2 birds, 1 hag sort of situation. I followed Mayrina's brother through the swamp, trying desperately to keep him alive. Didn't work. Pretty lame Larian. We pissed off Auntie Ethel to trigger a fight and pumped her ugly ass full of steel. It's a shame none of this damage actually matters. She fled into the basement and we took pursuit. Featherfall got us through the poison obstacle course of doom, and before engaging with the hag we snuck in her back door. Shovel bravely instigated the encounter, for which I wish I could say there's some spectacular strategy, but not really. All I did was attack and then shut the door each turn. Small animals have no problem opening doors in this universe, but hags, totally impossible. Once below 30 health, she begged for her life, coughed up a hairball for +1 wisdom, and fled like the haggard bitch she is. The final item you need is found in the hag's back room, a unique potion, Insanity's Kiss. Before challenging Voss, I changed everyone into clerics, sent Astarion up with the Sword Shriek while invisible, and activated turn-based mode. Keen-eyed individuals may have noticed that the Sword Shriek isn't actually doing anything. That's because Voss is technically not an enemy. This is where Insanity's Kiss comes into play. Drinking it turns you hostile to everyone, and it doesn't break invisibility or exit turn-based mode. Voss is now shrieked by the enemy Astarion to reduce his saving throws, but that's not all being hostile grants. For reasons beyond my understanding, you can now cast Command Drop as many times as you want before Voss flees. I think it's because he's just patiently sitting there waiting, trying to talk to the now insane Astarion. With speed potions, this gives you up to 6 attempts with a 40-ish% success rate. It only took me 3, and his sword was on the ground. Not gonna lie, I wasn't fully confident that would work, so I almost got game overed when Astarion triggered the fight moments later. Thankfully he snapped out of it to scoop up my first legendary of the game, and Gale survived with an invisible escape. That may have sounded like a lot of convoluted bullshit for a sword that's literally free later on in the game, but I kinda built a career off of creating my own problems at this point, so I promise later items will be just as nonsensical. Speaking of, there's technically 1 more legendary item you can collect from this region, Raphael's Helldusk Armor. You can get it by knocking him out while he's silenced at your camp, but since you can't cast silence at level 1, that's impossible to get. Is what a casual might tell you. I had an untested idea, but it would require someone in Act 1 who can both cast silence and is initially non-hostile. After a grand search, I settled on the skeletal mages found in Wither's bedroom. To get them to camp, you can use the kidnapping technique to move their bodies and drop them off in an outdoor area, and then repeat the crime to take them to this camp. With their bones in position, you can travel to the mountain pass to make Raphael show up, and then quickly knock out any nearby companions. Can't have them ruining the day by helping, now can we? Don't worry about Scratch, he'll be fine. Volo, on the other hand, won't be. For this plan to work, Lae'zel stealths in the corner, playing with the Astral Prism staying out of combat, and a Sanctuary Gale starts the encounter by trying to pick up a skeletal corpse. When standing in this exact spot, a scribe will cast Silence in the perfect position that Raphael is caught on the bubble's edge. The bubbles have edges. Then you can kite your enemies to the far side of the camp, leaving Lae'zel alone to abuse a now silent Raphael. Because of our earlier obtained weapon, her hit chance is high enough that it takes just a few minutes to drop the devil, revealing my Helldusk armor. The best armor in the game, and we're still in Act 1. Hey, stay down bro, that's mine. That's 2 legendaries in hand, and it's time to save the party with Lae'zel's now overpowered build. In case you wondered, this doesn't mean I get to skip the House of Hope later. There's still a legendary in there. So I do have to fight Raphael later on anyways. Just kind of fun to have these earlier than you're supposed to. Because I'm Gale, Tara showed up at camp. Then to top off this night of chaos, Scratch apparently stole Shadowheart's bed. Told you he'd be fine. In the mountains, it's time to head into the crush to get the first actual legendary you're supposed to get in the game. Lae'zel wanted a pit stop at the Zaithis, so we did as she asked, blew it up, and killed the Doctor too for good measure. Deeper into the crush we go, sweet talking each gift to keep Lae'zel happy. No one cared to watch as we opened the hidden escape route before entering the prism. Even once outside, we made it most of the way there before anyone took note of our escape. Because I'm too lazy to do the puzzle, 3 of us would need to sit in camp while one man sacrifices himself for the weapon. Canonically, Astarion is the best choice. He claims our 3rd legendary item, the Blood of Lathander, and was crushed soon after. That night, Voss arrived at camp. You'd think he'd be pissed about the fact that we stole his sword, but he seems to be cool about it. Just asked us to meet him in Baldur's Gate later. Not gonna do that. The last legendary you can get in Act 1 is easy. All it takes is a credit card. The Mask of the Shapeshifter comes with the digital deluxe edition of the game. Larian's the goat and gave it to everyone who pre-ordered Baldur's Gate 3 for free though, so I didn't pay a cent. But I would have if I could. Fun fact, the mask's face changes depending on what race you transform into. See, it's an elf, now a dragonborn, now a Gith. Bet you didn't know that. 4 down and up the Grimforge elevator we go to the Shadow-Cursed Lands. Act 1 had a fair bit of side quest stuff to do, but Act 2 was pretty much just your standard playthrough. Last Light in is first for the Harpers to lead us to the Drider, and I was fully prepared to disarm the Drider using command, but he decided to drop it all on his own. From there we braved the shadows to ascend Moonrise Towers. The only enemies I care about in this entire building are the ones on the roof. One by one, Lae'zel assassinated these necromites by tossing them like trash, and with her legendary stun, she locked down the necromancer too. Just like that, no combat trigger even required. On the way to the Gauntlet of Shar, we stopped by the House of Healing to tell these nurses to stab their master to death. A bonus of being Origin Gale is that you can absorb the soul of a dead Thorn boss to get a 3rd level spell slot at level 1. Why doesn't Companion Gale get that bonus? Good question. Maybe the answer will be found in the Gauntlet of Shar. It won't, that's just a segue. Lae'zel's legendaries let me battle these dead Justiciar like it was a Tuesday, with the fight before Balthi's bedroom being so easy that it had me questioning whether the difficulty was even on the right settings. Don't worry, it was. Unrestricted level 1s just aren't as weak as I expected. Ordinarily, this is where Balthazar tasks you with doing the Gauntlet of Shar, but today we're going to change that up a bit. A while ago I noticed that cats can lead Balthazar forever, unlike most NPCs who return to their original location. So today everyone's favorite overweight necromancer is joining us in a field trip throughout Lady Shar's trials. I've long since wondered how he might fare at such tasks. In the soft step trial, Balthazar was fully immune to the ghost transportation abilities, and breezed his way through alongside my cat to complete it. Good job, Balthi. In the self-same trial, Balthazar joined the battle. I thought that meant he would help, but he instead chose to stand there hurling insults, not bothering to do a damn thing. On my own, the Blood of Lathander's sunbeam shredded the false shard and self-revived me to get a close win. Before the 3rd trial, I gave him a full tour of the facility, all the way to Lady Shar's library. I fully expected nothing to happen here, but Balthazar actually started a fight with the Shar librarians. Thoroughly kicking their asses too, I might add. I watched from the sidelines, and once complete, led my boy Balthi all the way to the Faith Leap trial. Almost instantaneously, he died. Today we learned he really wasn't capable of completing these trials. On my own, I completed the 3rd trial in a task failed successfully sort of way, and then returned to the already clear library for the Spear of Night. Pretty much the only item in Act 2 which directly leads to a legendary. I figured I'd better help Yurger while I'm here, only because his help in hell will be much appreciated. For that reason, the rat Justiciar was engaged. It totally bugged out though, and no rats would fight back, which I thought was a blessing. Turned out to be more of a monkey paw wish sort of thing because Lathander here just refused to die. He just sat there regenerating health while I could do nothing about it. Thankfully, this adult man only weighs 66 pounds and can be thrown super far, so we used gravity to chuck his anorexic ass off a cliff. With that, Yurger's quest is done, and the final gem is mine. The Gauntlet of Shar was completed at level 1 legitimately. Mostly legitimately? Was any of that legit? I don't know. But it's done, and in go my gems. As we enter the Shadowfell, it's time to admit to you all the truth. You cannot collect every single legendary in a single playthrough, because there are a couple of them that are mutually exclusive based on the choices you make now. That doesn't mean I'm not going to collect them all. Instead, I'll save here and go back to get the missing ones at the end in an alternate universe sort of deal. With that off my chest, let's head into the Shadowfell to get our next legendary. I ordered Shadowheart to brutally murder the Night Song, and as a reward, we're given Shar's Spear of Evening. The rest of the legendaries will be found in Act 3, and to get there, Ketheric must be dealt with. Through Moonrise, we played Absolute Frogger, dodging invisible detector eyeballs to reach the rooftop. You may notice the place looks a tad bit different than usual. Earlier that day I had Lae'zel place a bunch of barrels there. Where'd I get the barrels? By gathering them all across the lands. You know what they say, when there's a barrel, there's a way. Mid-battle, our fighters constructed small outposts equipped with candles to light their arrows, and began firing upon Ketheric. What I expected to happen during this encounter is that Ketheric would run around smashing barrels, struggling to get through our defenses. I had enough extra barrels prepared to stall him out for ages, but he didn't really do that. Instead, he kinda just jumped up to a pedestal and accepted his fate. I can respect a man who knows when he's lost. 38 rounds of no action combat later, he gave up the fight to flee. Pretty sure it took me longer to clean up the mess of barrels than the actual fight took. And before entering the colony, everyone became War Domain Clerics, because they can attack twice per turn at level 1. Honor Mode Ketheric is the bane of any challenge run, so for him I prepared a special little something I've wanted to try since Baldur's Gate 3 came out. A tower to end all towers to heaven. While collecting barrels earlier, I grabbed crates too, and engineered this build to go beyond. There's no light up here, it's higher than the initial elevator was, and apparently I'm even above the ceiling. By my estimates, it's 160 crates high, 109 meters, or 357 feet tall. Why? Because falling objects do increase damage from a higher elevation. Let's have Lae'zel on the ground so I can see my attacks and begin launching shoes from above. I found it funny that you can't even see Ketheric from this height, just a pixel for your mouse to find in order to display a health bar. Each object I throw deals 52 bludgeoning damage to the man, who I'll remind you has bludgeoning resistance to have damage taken. What I didn't expect is that I appear to be so far away that the combat trigger doesn't even pull me into it. Also didn't plan for Gale to break his section of the tower and bring him crashing down. Thankfully that didn't topple the rest of the tower. My extra throws per turn I prepared ended up being completely pointless. Up here in heaven you don't need turns. Merkel is killed by shoes and clothing falling from the sky before he even got a chance to understand what the hell was going on. Feather falling down gave me a good chuckle. It takes so long. And before you ask, no, I'm not cleaning up these crates. I will, however, attempt to bring them down like dominoes. For once, I gotta say, Merkel was an enjoyable experience. Just one more encounter lies between me and many more glorious yellows. A barrel barrier proved an ineffective way to protect us in our sleep. Not every idea I have works, and it's important you see my failures too. We made it into the portal, that part's always easy, and alongside the Emperor a few gifts fell into space, others speared in the face. And now that we're finally in Act 3, we can focus on collecting these legendaries to become the very best legendary trainer there ever was. Or something. The circus has the earliest and easiest of this region's collectibles. All you gotta do is steal this ring from the genie, spin his wheel, run past some dinosaurs, and you'll find it in a chest near the exit. After a quick adventure, 5 minutes in and out, we've added Nyrula to our collection. Let's head right through Gortash's Keep, ignoring these robotic coronation invitations to continue padding the numbers with easy items. Within Sorcerer's Sundries and Baldur's Gate, there's a portal straight to the top of Lorroakan's Wizard Tower. By jumping to his lower level balcony, you can search around to find an invisibility detection potion in the backpack over here. Drinking it reveals the tower's invisible button labels. The one labeled below leads to his stash. These levers are normally invisible, but because of that elixir you can see them, and pull each of them one time per character. A fail, and they attack you. By hugging the invulnerability bubble protecting his items, you'll survive. Not exactly a Fort Knox level of defense now, is it? Took me just trying with 4 characters, but with hirelings, for you it's near impossible to miss. Fun fact, I thought my game was bugged because Withers would not offer me any hirelings. Turns out you need to be level 3 to get them. Who knew? Thanks John in the Larian Discord. Anyways, like that, Marco Heshkir is added to our collection. But we're not done yet. This other button, labeled Vaults, takes you to Lorroakan's secret wizard vault, containing several books. Lae'zel can carefully pop open the display case for our 8th item. Books may not be equipable, but the Red Knight's final stratagem is still a legendary. Reading it grants you an Artistry of War scroll for a supercharged magic missiles. Wizards can learn that, by the way. Just a few steps later, behind this false wall, you can walk on through to pick up another book, Caution Before the Seelie. The nice part about visiting this area early in the challenge is it's loaded with high-level elixirs, scrolls, and gold. All things that will help our weakling selves in completing future goals. The next item is also inside here, locked behind the Elminster Vault. To get it to open, you have to go through the Silver Hand door, the Evocation door, and then Wish. Why specifically these doors? I have no idea, nor does anyone else when I tried to Google it. If there is any actual logic to that puzzle, I'd love to hear it. Backtracking to Elminster's Vault and you could find the Tharkiot Codex. I probably said that wrong. Legendaries are famous for being difficult to pronounce. But you're not done here yet. There's one more item behind the Karsa's door. Complete another guessing game door puzzle. This time it's Silverhand, Abjuration Silver. That spells sass. Karsass. I don't know, man. The vault opens and the Annals of Karsus is in Gale's possession. Let's get the hell out of this wizard tower finally and deal with Shadowheart's problems. Within the Cloister of Solemn Embrace, we meet Viconia. I tried to kill her during the therapy session, but she took off. At least she actually comments on the fact that I tried. You're probably wondering what grand tactical masterpieces Proxy concocted this time. Shadowheart waved her mouth flat to convince them to join me, and that's all. I'm pretty sure you would need to try to lose this battle if you have Shar and Shadowheart on your side. For a brief moment, I was worried when she did her Shar and Divine Intervention thing, but the Blood of Lathander quickly dispelled that fear. She got walloped, and agreed to let us borrow her legendary, after I stabbed her and pried it from her stillborn hands. Viconia's Walking Fortress is number 12. I'd originally wrote in the script that this was halfway done, not because I suck at math. I'll explain the actual reason shortly. But until then, just next door to the Baldur's Gate Sharn compound is Lady Janeth's mansion. By flying up to the roof, you can illegally enter her home, smash her hidden false wall, and reveal Envoys at Table, the first of our legendary paintings. Doesn't do anything, but at least it kinda looks cool and it's worth a lot. This isn't the only useless legendary item in the game. For our next one, over in the guild hall, you can find your good pal Oscar the Painter from Act 1. Oscar here, if he was not freed from his entering captives, will be here to sell you a fake portrait of a noble before his death. Not only does this painting cost you 2,000 gold while doing absolutely nothing, but it also looks like complete garbage. I assure you, this is how it appears unedited in my game. Maybe the devs thought no one would be stupid enough to buy this. And from here, there are no more easy to acquire legendaries available. So let's go straight to the hells and work on one of the hardest ones next. In the House of Hope, Astarion stole the key off a sleepy harlot and used it to open the hidden wall safe for the Orphic Hammer's password. We snuck over there, ushered the passphrase, and acquired the Orphic Hammer. I never noticed this was a legendary until this playthrough, probably because it sucks, and it isn't even listed on the BG3 Wiki's legendary items page either. It may be the wrong color, but it has the all-important tag. Taking it of course pisses off everyone in the hells, but by using the power of small doorways, with surgical precision, each of Raphael's balls are destroyed. The big room with lots of enemies was led on a wild goose chase by a raven to an area no one cares about. They never path back on their own. And for Hope's prison, the spectators too were handled the same way. They got stuck, and I magic missiled each of the imps down from a safe location. Hope's set free without these tough spectators needing to die. And being a cleric, Hope has Divine Intervention. This spell when cast equips the caster with the legendary Devotee's Mace. Hope has it though, not us. She is nice enough to equip a Falara Luve if it's placed on the ground though, and doesn't mind being pickpocketed either. Thanks for your kindness, Hope. I wanted to come up with a brand new strategy that no one's ever seen before for Raphael. And trust me when I say, you have never seen this. A while ago, I discovered you can use the Pixie Bell, insult her, and be transformed into an animal to teleport out of red map regions. This even works to escape hell. So if you ever wanted to have Hope as a semi-permanent follower for the rest of the game, there you go. That's not what I want though, because her quest won't be completed that way and she rewards a legendary at the end. But by using that same kidnapping trick I did earlier in Act 1 on the skeletons, you can pick up and carry friendly citizens of Baldur's Gate. I carried each of them through Helsic's shop and dropped them off in hell to fight on my side. Not just anyone will help you against Raphael though. This trick only works on people who appear green on your minimap, for example the Sharns and the Sewer Sludge Elementals. I can only imagine what Helsic was thinking as she watched Gale carry dozens of random strangers up to her attic. It took hours, but my minimap lit up like a Christmas tree. The crew was assembled. Our scrolls from Lorroakan's tower kept Raphael locked down while my army of Sharans, Yerger, and the Grease Boys took out Raphael's Cambion goons. Each soul pillar came crashing down from scrolls of disintegration, while Raphael could do nothing but dance. 26 versus 1, it seemed unlosable. But holy shit, did Raphael ever decide to bring it. His infernos were melting the Sharans, and the Grease Boys went up in flames. He had me so scared that I used the rest of my one-time use scrolls from the tower. Earlier he was outnumbered 26 to 1, but 30 minutes later he brought it down to just 9 of us all by his lonesome. However, action economy is an unforgiving bitch in D&D. This Sharan ended the encounter with a bone chill to wither away Raphael. Hope was saved, her quest completed, and she handed over the gloves of soul catching. After going through hell for that last one, I could use a break. In the lower city Flaming Fist Barracks, you can find a distraught mother named Laura. Her daughter's gone missing, and because she rewards a legendary weapon, I agreed to help. Strangely, she said she'll head home after talking with us, and then walk directly to the prison, so I don't know where the hell she thinks she lives, but okay. She suggests you search the Blushing Mermaid to find her daughter, but before that, there's this ran-down abandoned shack by the sea. In here, there's a safe containing the Hag's Bane elixir. You want to craft this before going to the Blushing Mermaid, and then you can toss the elixir right at Captain Grizzly. Secretly, that's the hag in disguise who ate Laura's kid. Hag's Bane makes her sick, so she throws up the missing kid, and if you're standing in the correct spot, no combat even happens. I told Vanna to go home to her mother, then met her there, and as a reward you're gifted the duelist prerogative. To get your next items, you gotta complete the Murder Tribunal questline. I've covered this quest in videos over a dozen times now, so here it is in 5 words. Murder, theft, elephant, unholy assassin. Inside the Temple of Baal, Orin has 2 weapons we need to collect. My first idea was to have a mage hand drink a strength elixir and toss her into the abyss. That does work, and even if the mage hand fails, she doesn't get mad, allowing for unlimited attempts. The problem is that by tossing her into a chasm, her body can't be looted for the Crimson Mischief weapon. Her Netherstone and dagger will teleport near the altar, but not her corpse. Even telekinesis can't pull her gore pile out of there, so this strategy, which works in every other challenge run, had to be scrapped. Instead, I came up with this. A mage hand still drinks the potion, but instead of killing her, it kidnaps her. The rest of my party also goes invisible, because if Orin sees anyone, she'll initiate a dialogue to stop us in our tracks. With Orin in hand, we took her up to the city, through House's shop, and straight to Hell where she belongs. The nice thing about Hell is I got friends here. Not many left at this point, but there's still enough of them to make this fight with Orin a tad bit easier. I'd expected that in Hell we'd be outside of the range of the Boon of Baal, but admittedly I was stupid to think that the Murder Lord wouldn't be active in the Hells. Without any real way to stop the channeling of her unstoppable bluff every turn, our strategy turned into breaking all of her stacks and letting the Sharns deal with her. Magic missiles do wonders in that regard. Our Sharn friends had our backs for the 3rd and final time to help secure both the Crimson Mischief and Bloodthirst weapons. Nearly there now. For the next item, I made a stop at a local rat vendor named Skittle to purchase a Scroll of Knock. Pretty sure it's the only vendor in the game who sells this. This spell removes the luck out of our future breaking and entering mission. The Steel Watch Foundry is the most heavily defended building in the city, other than this open window that they have on the rooftop. Our gang flew on through, splashed around in some invisible goop, and darkened the door. Knock opened it up to gain access to the Steel Watch control room. In here, Shovel gave her life to discover Gortash's magnum opus, the Hellfire Steel Watch Titan. She gave her second life to get us a surprise round. Having the robots be surprised ensures that the Titan reaches the doorway first. Why does that matter? Because it's unable to open doors, and so large that it blocks the other robots from coming near the doorway to open it for it. Every turn you can just sit here, attack, and close the door to outsmart the most advanced technological engineering the Gondians could come up with. It did surprise the hell out of me though when its bulwark maneuver activated and launched us back through the closed door. Nearly wiped us, but a plethora of health potions were chugged to weather the storm. Those 2 blast wave phases were the only thing that even slightly had me worried. Once on low HP, the Titan initiates its self-destruct sequence. Didn't want to miss the explosion being caught on camera, so Lae'zel sanctuaried her way inside. Off its smoking remains, we retrieved our bow, Gaunter Mail. Why does this robot have a legendary bow that it never used? Well, the tooltip says that it used to be the Titan's abdomen. I have to give them credit for at least trying to explain it, even though it makes no sense. Lae'zel's sanctuary helped her to survive and escape on her own, and it was off to Worm's Rock Fortress to face the final boss of this challenge. For some reason, I thought Gortash only gets mad at you if you blow up the foundry, but apparently killing his big fancy robot was enough to turn every one of the Bay Knight's lackeys hostile against us. These guards ignored us as we electrocuted the dragon torches mere meters from their faces, and inside the worm ray, I was ready to do some puzzles. A game of chess here, torch holding there. But as far as I know, there isn't any way to remove curses at level 1. There's random scrolls you could find, but in all my time searching, I'd never come across one. The Proxy Boxy trick didn't work either, so the only option I could do was to have Shovel intentionally fail the quest. This unlocks the door, and a short walk later on atop this pedestal we find the Helm of Baldurin. Not the prettiest of items, but it does the job. My creative juices were feeling tapped at this point, so for answer, I used explosives. I figure everybody gets one, right? Still nearly screwed this up by thinking those water elementals are not a real threat. My explosives did the trick. The camera wonked out. Water boys died, and I claimed my 23rd level 1 legendary, Baldurin's Giant Slayer. There you have it, guys. Every legendary you can possibly earn in a single playthrough at level 1. Make sure to subscribe, and wait, editor Proxy, why does it say 23 to 25? You gotta be back in Act 2, baby. Still level 1, just like I said I'd be for the 2 mutually exclusive legendaries. But we ain't going into the Shadowfell just yet. For you see, there is still one jackass in Act 1 we need to save in order to get the final legendary. The guy with one of the worst quests in the game, Oscar. You see, not only does Oscar have the ugliest and most pointless legendary in the game, he has the second worst one too. With him free of the Zentarium, we can go into the Shadowfell. Shadowheart throws the spear to spare Night Song, sets her free, and it's back up to Ketheric's rooftop. Same strat, different day. Literally was like 3 days later. I totally forgot what items I had and everything by this point. The rooftop fight was about 30 times quicker with the Night Song pumping smites. They fled, We followed, and Tower 2 was constructed. I tried to build higher this time, but learned once you're beyond the limits of light, your attacks just don't hit. A third, slightly smaller tower did the trick, with a lot more shoes being tossed than the last time. For Merkel's death, the Night Song rewards us with Saluna's Spear of Night. Morgith died in space. We ran through Rivington, the Keep, and the Lower City until reaching Lady Janice Mansion. Inside, we went to see our old pal Oscar. He's a possessed psychopath now, so we knocked him out and went to his attic to find his ex-girlfriend's painting. The only way to help him is by visiting the Mystic Carrion's mansion. He'll offer to sell you a magical torch for 3,000 gold. But not having any cash and feeling particularly lazy at this point, I stole it out of his chest in the back room. Back in the mansion, an exorcism is performed by smacking the painting with the torch. The ghost freaked out and I talked it to death, completing Oscar's stupid quest. I really hope I never do this one again in a video. Following Oscar upstairs will reward you with a painting of yourself, which Larian finally fixed to actually be of yourself. Every party member can do this, so you'll get several paintings of legendary quality worth 1,500 gold each. For all of these legendary shots, I used the in-game examine feature on them, but for this one it's kinda crap. Once again, photo mode saves the day. And there you have it, all 25 legendaries you can get legitimately in the game obtained at level 1. If you enjoyed this sort of thing, let me know, and consider leaving a like to help out the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video, and I want to give special thanks to my channel members for their additional support. Until next time, Proxy out.